This is the Internet Broadcasting Network at ibnetwork.us.
Take a shot of courage. From the remote IB and Boxdrop Studios in Grand Junction, Colorado, this is David Alley, and this is the Adventure Alley Show. Hi, Dave Alley here for the Adventure Alley Show. It's springtime, and I hope you're getting out in the great outdoors. If you're not, you should be, and if you are, I hope you're having a great time. The only thing bad about the great outdoors this time of year is, especially if you're in a position like I am, the allergies are just a killer this year, just a killer. And I think it's because of two reasons. One, the winter here in Grand Junction was so dry, and two, the wind has been unbelievably strong this spring. So that's kind of been a double whammy. And you put the pollen with the wind and the dust, it's going to get you every time. So what are you going to do? First of all, you could walk around with a mask over your face all day. You know, I've thought about that, actually, but I don't want to look like a burglar or some sort of a terrorist. So the best thing I can do is just, drink Alka-Seltzer Plus, take some cold pills and allergy pills that I get over at the Walmart, and, gargle it down with a little bit of scotch. That's about the only thing that I think that's getting me through these times. But anyway, that's enough of my problems and so forth. But anyway, today's topics. On today's show, we're going to talk. I'm going to have a little tribute to a real hero of mine down through the years was Art Bell. He passed the last week, and I want to talk a little bit about him. Of course, I've got some incoherent rambling crap from Maxine Waters and Daffy Duck Pelosi. So I want to talk about those two goofballs again. Those two people are just ought to go away, please. But if they did go away, that would take half of my commentary away. I'm going to talk about the new state national park fees that were enforced, and especially here in Colorado. I think Hickenpooper, I think he did sign that into law, and I have no problem with it. I mean, if you're going to use the national parks and the state parks and so forth, you ought to pay for it. I mean, that's just the way it is, because they have some great facilities and people need to use and pay. So that's just the way it is. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Of course, April 21st, which was a couple days ago, was Earth Day, and I've got a bunch to say about that, of course, and which would include one thing about recycling. I've got also some weather reports as far as the bad weather in the south, down on the southwest, and the rainy conditions out on the Pacific Ocean. I want to talk about some dogs, not bark dogs, but dogs. Then I'm going to talk about gold in them there hills, bats, cruising, tattoos. Of course, the month of May is the gardening in the nude month. Get that out. Like every time I talk about that or think about that, I get excited. Not that I'm going to do it, but just in case everybody in my neighborhood is going to think about getting out and doing a little gardening in the nude, I'm certainly. Well, not everybody. I mean, there are some people in my neighborhood that I probably would not want to see naked. I don't probably want to see them with clothes on. But regardless of that, I do get a little bit excited about that. Water levels in the ocean. We're going to talk about those. And we're going to talk about the poor rafters in the west here. And they may not be doing a lot of rafting this year just because of the water levels, etc. And then we're going to talk about April is volunteer month. Again, I have a little segment on snakes. You know how I'm afraid of snakes. And every time I see something come across my desk about snakes, and there's always something, and everybody's always sending me something to scare me, and they do. We're going to talk about that. And then this month's state that I'm going to talk about and kind of emphasize a little bit more is on the state of Nevada, which is one of my favorite states. And then we're going to talk about the father of the national park system, John Muir. So I got that and a few other things coming up, and hope you are all having a good spring Even though if you're like me, again, like I said earlier, if you're having problems with your allergies, boy, this time of year is tough. But we're almost through it. It's almost summertime, and then we'll find something else to bitch and complain about, like the heat or maybe the mosquitoes or something like that. But anyway, first thing I'm going to do today is talk about a little bit a tribute to Art Bell. I never did have a chance to meet Art Bell. I knew that about Art Bell back in the mid '90s. I got acquainted with his work because he had a show that was only broadcast in the evenings, and it was called Coast to Coast with Art Bell, and he was one of a kind. He truly was. He started out in the radio business as a ham operator, and he operated from his house in Pahrump, Nevada, and then basically worked this through into an actual radio program that was picked up by several stations and so forth. I think it was syndicated for a while, but regardless, but Art was a great guy, and he was a no nonsense guy, and he loved to talk about goofy stuff, which appeals to me because I'm kind of a goofy kind of guy. But he really appealed to a lot of listeners out there, especially at that time of night. That he would talk about ghosts, and he talk about weird things and UFOs and Bigfoot and just weird stuff that nobody but probably that me would even talk about today. There still is a coast to coast show on the radio. With not with Art Bell, but with Nori. I can't remember his first name, not Jim Nori. But anyway, regardless of that, he's a good guy too. But he just doesn't have the same flair that Art did. And Art would sit back in his little studio, and he did it all. He was the producer, the engineer. He did everything by himself. And he would go through about 2 packs of cigarettes an hour on his radio program, and so forth, but he was a great guy, and I'm gonna miss him, and I missed him being on the radio and so forth. And he had a couple of trying times in his life. He lost his wife for I think she died of cancer or something, but lost her back. I think it's probably in the mid '90s, and then he got hooked up with some gal from the Philippines, and then he moved to the Philippines, and he got bit by some sort of a spider or something, and then they had a big hurricane out there and ravaged through where he was living, and so the last few years of his life were pretty tough, but he was one of a kind, and I owe Art Bell a lot just for some of the things that he brought to my attention, and I can remember still laying in bed at night at 2 or 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the morning, listening to him talk about ghosts and spirits and Bigfoot or whatever the case may be, and being very, very entertained. Another guy that I used to love to stay up late and watch, like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and this is back in the 60s and early 70s, was William F. Buckley. And he's another guy that was definitely the opposite of Art Bell, because all the stuff he talked about was truly of times, and he was this very smart guy from Harvard, I think, or Yale or something. But and I just love to listen to him just because of his accent and some of the words that he used that I have to this day still don't understand half the stuff he talked about. But I just love to hear him talk, and he was a good man as well. So Art Bell, rest in peace, my friend. So anyway, going on to from one good person to a bunch of goofballs. Again, Maxine Waters is just she's a trying old woman, and she needs to try to behave herself. She was calling our First Lady, Melania Trump, a tramp. And I didn't mean to say that, because she wears 4-inch high heels. Well, Maxine, let me tell you something. You look like a pimp. And you know the reason why? Because that hat you wear with those feathers on it, you look like a parakeet pimp. So that's what you look like. So I'm going to start calling Maxine the parakeet pimp, with that bolo that you wear around your neck and that goofy looking cowboy hat with the blue feathers on it. Looks like some sort of a parakeet. So you're the parakeet pimp. And then we have Daffy Duck Pelosi. and swear to God, she needs to get off the liquor. She has been drinking more and more on a daily basis, because every time she goes on the air, every time she is in the news or on the radio or any type of media, she acts like she's about 2/3 to a full tank loaded, and she can't keep her teeth in her mouth, and she can't keep the words coming out correctly, and she's absolutely goofy. And then her face, she's had so much face work done. She's had more face work done on her face than they've done on Mount Rushmore. And she still looks bad. So that's about all I'm going to say about those two goofballs. But oh my God, it's just absolutely unbelievable. Well, let's get down to some serious business here and talk about the state park fees. They have increased to... The national parks have gone up to $25 a day per car, and the state parks are also have followed. Now, if you're an old timer like me and have a lifetime pass, you can get in for free. Still, any park, national park or state park in the United States, which is a good deal for me. It's not a good deal for you youngsters, but tough luck. I'm older and I deserve it, and I'm a deserving soul, just like all the Democrats and the millennials think that they're deserving something. So that's me too. Maybe I'm an old fart millennial. That's what I'm going to call myself, an old fart millennial, because I deserve it. But regardless, if you're going to go in and you're going to use the facilities and you're going to be entertained, or you're going to be involved with anything with the park service, you need to pay. I mean, they have those facilities there, and they don't build themselves. So a person needs to pay, and I certainly do not have any qualms at all. And I'd even pay double if they would require it, because they always have good facilities. The bathrooms are always clean. The people that are there to keep track of it, either the rangers or the park employees, are always do a great job, and most of them are volunteers anyway. So I have no problem with paying the extra fee. So it's $25 a day per car. If you're going to camp, it's going to be extra, and it's probably going to be another $15 to $16 a night if you're going to camp. It depends on where you go. I don't know what campground or national park you're going to be in, but they certainly do have good facilities. They do have restrooms. That sometimes they have running water, sometimes they don't. But they do have restroom facilities. They do have drinking water. You can get that in most of them. And they're clean. They're always clean, and they've got other stuff available for you to use. So even though you have to pay, get out and use them. Oh, and if you don't make a reservation right away, there's an awfully good chance that you may not get a spot this summer, because I've tried several places to go for camping this summer with my grandchildren, and they're already booked up through the year. So interesting, very interesting. Well, my time's up again for this part of the segment. I'm going to go to another break, and we'll be back in just a few minutes.
Hi, everyone. This is Dave Alley of the Adventure Alley Show on the IB Network, inviting you to join me every Thursday at 3 o'clock and then again at 9 o'clock for a show on the great outdoors. I will inform and hopefully entertain you on everything outdoors, such as ideas on camping, fishing, hunting, as well as reviewing local microbreweries and sports bars. Also, please follow me on Twitter at Adventure Alley, or email me at adventurealley@ibnetwork.us.
Programming produced by and for the Internet Broadcasting Network can be found on TuneIn. Be sure to take us with you by using the TuneIn app on all your mobile devices. This is the IB Network.
This week, my name is Harley Mitchell. Next week, I'm not sure yet. Maybe I'll use your name. You see, I'm a cyber criminal, and I steal information that defines who you are, Things like your driver's license number, your birth date, your home address, your office address, your social security number, your medical information, insurance cards, business licenses, and if I can get it, your birth certificate. If I can get one, I can get the rest. It's not personal. It's just business. Once I have your information, I bundle it with others and I sell it. Not just once, but over and over and over and over and over.
Due to recent massive data breaches, your personal information is now available for cyber criminals like Harley to buy and sell to their underworld counterparts for profit. Bad people with bad intentions hiding behind your identity. Don't be fooled and lock down your financial life. Use the professionals that Fortune 500 companies use, ID Shield and Legal Shield. It costs less and reaches further. Don't lock down your life. Call Andrea Wacker and get the right protection for the right problem. Andrea Wacker is your Lady of Justice. Call now at 719-243-3174. That's 719-243-3174.
Hi, Dave Alley here for the Adventure Alley Show, and a little commentary right now. As you know, I took my grandkids to, well, maybe you don't know. You may or may not know, but you know now. I took my grandkids, 4 of them, over to Moab, Utah a couple weeks ago for their spring break. And we visited the Moab Giants, which is a great place to go for, especially small children like that, because they have these huge dinosaurs in an open air setting, and just fabulous. And these kids just love the dinosaurs, and they look real. They truly do. And it was definitely well worth the time to go down there, and definitely the price. I think it was cheap. It was like $10 to get in per head, so it's reasonable. And we spent 5 hours there. Where can you go for $10 and spend 5 hours and enjoy yourself to the point of no return? Probably nowhere, unless you went down to a bar or something. But anyway, and you sure as hell spend more than $10. But anyway, my commentary for this is that we also, from the Giants, we went over to the Arches National Park and did some hiking over there. And there's a lot of places to hike, and there's a lot of things to see. And those arches are magnificent. They're huge, and it's definitely a tribute to nature and how those things were formed and so forth. It's beautiful. Just a beautiful country over there. However, to spoil it, there's always a bunch of idiots and jerks slithering around, and I'm not talking about snakes, because they have every right to be over there slithering around. But some people that don't deserve to be there are some people that are hypocrites. And by this I mean we followed a car in from, and I'm not sure where they were from. I think it was a Utah car. I don't know. But I do know. No, it actually was a Colorado car, because it had Respect Life as a license plate on it, and it had a big Save the Planet and Vote for Hillary in 2016 on their bumpers. But on their way out, or when they got to the parking lot, we parked next to them. They got out and threw a pop can on the ground with some papers. And they did. There was a girl in the car, and she said, "Hey, Fred, you better pick that stuff up." And he says, "I'll pick it up when I get damn good and ready." Well, he didn't pick it up. I picked it up, and I threw it away. So all I'm saying is, if you're going to have that kind of stuff on your back bumper, then live the way you preach. And if you're going to save the earth, pick up after yourself, idiot. Throw it in a trash can, and don't have somebody else pick up after you. I am not your mother. I am not your father, and God thank you for that. But pick up after yourself. And if you don't, then don't have a Save the Earth bumper sticker on your bumper. Put it on your mouth so you don't eat, or otherwise put it around your crotch so you don't reproduce yourself. Anyway, that's my commentary for the day. And if he doesn't like it, I don't even know who the joker was. But by the way, By the way, I think he was only like 22 or 23. Yeah, let's save the earth. Let's vote for Hillary. Let's do all this good stuff here and try to make the earth a better place. There's only one thing I can take to tell you that make the earth a better place, and I can't say it, or I won't say it. So anyway, that's my commentary for the day. Hang on, I got to take a blood pressure pill. Holy moly! I just get wound tight every time that happens. Speaking of recycling, I did pick up the idiot's pop can and recycled it. They do have recycling at the national parks, but April 21st was Earth Day, and they had a lot of big things going on all over the country. You could get into all the national parks for free. Yay! You'd have to pay. Hope that joker that polluted didn't go, but Earth Day is a big deal anymore, and it should be. And I am absolutely the first person in line to say that we need to do more to be conservative as far as the resources of our planet and to take care of our planet, which means is we do recycle. We do put aluminum cans in and recycle them so we can make more beer cans. And we want to conserve paper, and let's go do everything as we can electronically. I'm all for that. I am all 100% for that. And I have some results here on a poll I was taking. 66% of Americans say they do recycle, and that's good news. That's a better percentage than it was like 10 years ago when it was more like 30%. So that's really jumped up. 22% say they sometimes recycle. Well, that's okay. That's probably when they're in Disneyland or something and they see a trash can that says, please recycle. And 12% say they do not recycle. Well, I'm not sure who that 12% is. And, of course, there's always going to be, some nonconformers in the situation. But if you can, please recycle, and please be conservative, and please be kind to our planet. And there's like I said, there is nobody more in front of the line than I am when it comes to stuff like that. So just so you know, you think I'm a goofball, even though I say that and make fun of tree huggers and lick rockers, but no, that's not right. Tree huggers and rock lickers. That's that's what it is. Well, speaking of liquor, I probably ought to have some. I don't know. That's that scotch I've been washing this cold medicine down with. That's probably he's trying to sneak up on me. Well, anyway, but the weather. Boy, I feel like I'm under the weather today. And I apologize. I'm sure my voice, and I'm certain I can't. My nasal congestion, I can hardly breathe. Well, I can't breathe. And I can hardly talk, and sometimes I can't talk because I was talking about the lick rockers, what it should have been the rock lickers. Oh my goodness, gosh, I'm a crazy guy. But anyway, the weather is again playing tricks on us, and it's again, this is not something that's happened just because we are on the earth. This happened as many as 10 million years ago. We were over, like I said, in Moab to the Arches and over in that dinosaur land that they have, and they find all these dinosaurs. The dinosaurs were living in a actual sea on a seashore in Utah. And there's all the same thing here in Colorado. The climate at one time was tropical. We had palm trees. We had palm trees in Grand Junction. There were palm trees in Grand Junction. What does that tell you? Well, we don't have palm trees now, and we do get snow once in a while. So what does that say? The temperature changed, the climate changed. It's what happens. I'm sorry, friends. That's just the way it happens. But they've had some horrible floods over in Hawaii. Thank God I do not have a timeshare over there anymore. It's a beautiful state. Love to go over there, but man, don't ever buy a timeshare. I mean, seriously, if you want to do something with your money, do not put it in a timeshare. Just go out and stare at yourself throwing money down a toilet, because that's what you're going to be doing. Beautiful place. I enjoyed going over there. I mean, I owned it for like 8-9 years. Was over there like 3 or 4 times. Had a great time. Beautiful spot. People were friendly. Well, they should have been. They were, picketing my pocket. But anyway, just a great place. But all of the floods they're having over in Hawaii, especially in Kauai, the island of Kauai, 23 inches of rain literally in 24 hours. Boy, I'll tell you, if we had rain like that here in Colorado, we would definitely be flooding here as well. And then on the other side of the spectrum, We have the fires down in Oklahoma and Texas in the Southern Plains. They have actually wildfires over there that they're saying that are so deadly, they are afraid if they don't get some rain fairly soon, some of these wildfires that could happen down in that part of the country could devastate literally whole towns. So be careful. And another thing, do not throw your cigarette butt out the window. But if you smoke, first of all, you're a butt. And if you throw your cigarette butt out the window, you're a double butt, a butt. So don't do that. Don't smoke. I don't even know why people do that. Oh, boy. I've got to take another blood pressure pill. Anyway, we've got to go for another break here. Sorry about that. Be right back.
Hi, everyone. This is Dave Alley of the Adventure Alley Show on the IB Network, inviting you to join me every Thursday at 3 o'clock and then again at 9 o'clock for a show on the great outdoors. I will inform and hopefully entertain you on everything outdoors, such as ideas on camping, fishing, hunting, as well as reviewing local microbreweries and sports bars. Also, please follow me on Twitter at Adventure Alley or email me at adventurealley@ibnetwork.us.
Programming produced by and for the Internet Broadcasting Network can be found on TuneIn. Be sure to take us with you by using the TuneIn app on all your mobile devices. This is the IB Network.
This week, my name is Harley Mitchell. Next week, I'm not sure yet. Maybe I'll use your name. You see, I'm a cyber criminal, and I steal information that defines who you are. Things like your driver's license number, your birth date, your home address, your office address, your social security number, your medical information, insurance cards, business licenses, and if I can get it, your birth certificate. If I can get one, I can get the rest. It's not personal. It's just business. Once I have your information, I bundle it with others and I sell it. Not just once, but over and over and over and over and over.
Due to recent massive data breaches, your personal information is now available for cyber criminals like Harley to buy and sell to their underworld counterparts for profit. Bad people with bad intentions hiding behind your identity. Don't be fooled and lock down your financial life. Use the professionals that Fortune 500 companies use, ID Shield and Legal Shield. It costs less and reaches further. Don't lock down your life. Call Andrea Wacker and get the right protection for the right problem. Andrea Wacker is your Lady of Justice. Call now at 719-243-3174. That's 719-243-3174.
Hi, David Alley here for the Adventure Alley Show, and I would like to talk to you a little bit about, because I don't know if I got a lot of stuff to talk about today, and I don't know if I'll get all around to it all, but some of the stuff I need to get to is that April is National Volunteer Month, and it would be a good time for everybody to kind of take a peek at themselves and determine if they could spend a little bit of time to help people volunteer, whether it be volunteer in your community, volunteer at the national parks, state parks, but volunteer somewhere. And if you do want to volunteer for the United States Forest Service, they have several programs that you can actually volunteer for, to not only to possibly get some sort of benefit from getting paid. I don't know how much they pay you, but there's also programs that they have for retirees, professionals, homeowners, students, And they've got a bunch of other stuff for clubs and organizations if you want to volunteer to help the national parks, and that's a great cause. And I certainly do it, and I would recommend that everybody else do it. Some volunteers work full time. Some of them work several hours a month, some several hours a day. Sometimes a few days here, a few days there. Once in a blue moon. Other times, there's other opportunities where you can go actually and be a camp host in some of the campgrounds throughout the country, not only in the West here, but all throughout the country, and do some other things like build trails and help the actual to take care of the national parks and the state parks, as well as make new things for them to do and actually to help the campgrounds out, et cetera, et cetera. So if you have any interest in doing that, please go online to www.volunteer.gov and go down to the national park section and pick out some task or something that interests you as far as volunteering is concerned, and fill out the application and go forward. I mean, it's a great way to spend some time in the great outdoors. Plus, you'll have a good feeling in your heart that you're doing something good for not only the national park, for your government, but for Mother Earth. So there you go. Go out and do something fun, have some fun, meet some great people, because you will meet some great people, and so forth. And speaking of the father of the national park system, John Muir. He was born in 1838, and he is America's most famous naturist. Is that right? Is that her? Naturist and conservatist. God, I don't know. Where's that bottle of NyQuil? I need to take another shot of that. Anyway, he certainly did love the great outdoors, and he wrote many books and inspired many people with his writings and inspiration as far as protecting the country's greatest wild places like Yosemite, the Grand Canyon, the Sequoia National Park, Kings Canyon, and so forth all over the country. So it actually earned him the name of the father of the national parks. It's too bad that he died before he got the recognition that he actually deserved. But he died in 1914. But in 1916, the National Park Service started up, and they dedicated their service and their parks going forward in his honor. So anyway, there's somebody that if you want more information on, and I don't know why they don't teach this stuff in school, because they certainly don't, but they should. John Muir, a great conservatist and a great national. And I don't know why I can't say this. He was he did good stuff for the forest. That's all I can say. He's a naturalist. I don't know. Where's that NyQuil? Anyway, go to there and look some more stuff up on John. You'll enjoy it. Trust me on that. So anyway, let's see where we're at here. I do want to talk about bats today, because my grandson, I know, he loves to both. Well, I have two little grandsons over in Colorado Springs, Olin and Hendrik, and they love to scare their grandmas with rubber snakes. And every time I'm around them, they always grab a rubber snake and try to scare me. So I'm going to try to get them off the rubber snake bit and try to get them over to the bat section. And I'm not talking about baseball bats. I'm actually talking about bats. And if you didn't know, again, April is National Bat Month. Now, we're not talking about Batman. We're talking about bats. I mean, bats that fly around at night, bats that scare people, bats that are actually very good for the country, and they're very good for the not only for farmers, but they're good for the people who live in the city. Bats live everywhere. They're great animals. And I got some information here. Fun facts about bats. And here are some of the fun facts. This is for you, Olin and Hendrik, because I know you guys are going to get into bats here. There are there's some species of bats can live up to 40 years old. I mean, I've had cats that have lived, up to the mid-20s, but bats can live to be 40 years old. And bats can see in the dark, but they also have extreme hearing. And everybody thinks it's some sort of a radar, but really it's their hearing that guides them through the dark parts of the night. And bats are the only mammal naturally capable and true to sustain flight. Now, this is interesting because if you think of all the other things, birds aren't mammals, but they fly, but they're not mammals. So what else is it? There's the flying squirrel, like was that Rocky Squirrel and Rocky and Bullwinkle? It was Bullwinkle J Moose and Rocky the Flying Squirrel. That's who it was. But Rocky the Flying Squirrel really could fly because he didn't have wings, but he could fly because he had strong paws. No, I don't know. But it was a cartoon, so what do you expect? But Rocky the Flying Squirrel. I love that. And Bullwinkle J Moose, God, those are back in the days when cartoons were cartoons. And Natasha and who was that other joker that were always, trying to take over the world. Like Natasha kind of reminds me of Hillary Clinton a little bit. But anyway, going back to the bats. Speaking of old bats, we're not talking about Hillary Clinton either. There are over 1,200 known species of bats in the world, and 48 of those species actually live here in the United States. So, every time you go out and you see a bat, now, you're thinking to yourself, well, there's no bats where I live, and I don't know where you live, and frankly, it's probably a good thing I don't know where you live. But anyway, there's bats that live everywhere. I mean, there's probably the bats that don't live, like downtown Los Angeles, or there may be, I don't know. But bats live just about anywhere, and they really are a real tribute to not only to our ecosystem, but to farmers and basically to all humanity. And nearly 70% of the bats are insect eaters. Now, there's a few of them that there's a few bigger bats that they eat they don't eat chickens, but they eat frogs and little garter snakes and that kind of stuff. But the majority of them, 70% of them eat insects. And I remember when I was a kid, we had a little ranch over in Saguache, Colorado, and we had a big light that was out front of the bunkhouse there. And it would come on at night, and we would go out there, and we would see these bats flying around because the insects were attracted to the light, moths and mosquitoes, etc. And these bats would be flying around there. We'd throw up a rock up in the air, and those bats would see that rock and fly and follow it all the way to the ground, thinking it was a big moth. We always used to get a big kick out of that, but they ate a lot of bugs. They ate a ton of bugs. And anyway, going on here, one of the largest bats is the giant golden crowned flying fox bat, and it can weigh up to 4 pounds, and it has a wingspan 4 to 5 to 7 inches long. No, actually 5 feet 7 inches long. That's a big wingspan. That's almost like a big eagle or something. Eagles don't eat bats, I don't think. Well, I guess they would if they caught them, but I hope they don't. Here's something that I did not know. Bats are clean animals. They groom themselves almost constantly. Now, you think about this. What did you remember when you heard about bats in the past? Okay, first of all, you think they're dirty animals. You think that they carry diseases, rabies, et cetera, but they're not. The only reason that they actually get those kind of diseases like rabies, etc., is if there's like an epidemic of that particular plague that goes through their area. So, but they're not dirty. They are definitely not dirty at all. So, the North America's largest urban bat colony, see, we're talking about urbans here, is found down under the bridge in Austin, Texas. Well, that's interesting. See, I just talked about they're in Los Angeles. Well, it's not as big as Austin. It's not as big as Los Angeles, but they're living down there in Austin, Texas, and they're probably trying to eat some of those burritos too. I think no, they don't eat burritos, but anyway, they think that there is 1.5 million of these Mexican free-tailed bats that live underneath that bridge. That is a ton of bats. And they say that there's a tourist attraction down there. And there's over 100,000 tourists annually that go down there to watch these bats fly at twilight out of underneath the bridge up into the sky to go out and do their daily insect collection. One colony of 150 big brown bats literally could protect farmers up to 33 million. They eat 33 million earth root worms each summer. Not an earthworm, but a root worm. I don't know what a root worm is, but they eat 33 million of them. Huh, that's a lot. Almost 40% of American bats species they're all in decline, which is too bad, and that's because the pesticides that are killing some of them off. Come on, farmers, sober up. And we're taking their territory away from them, so they are endangered, and some of them are endangered and definitely threatened. And the biggest parts of the United States where the bats live are Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, and Virginia. There you go. So there you go. There's where all the bats live. Now, if you come where I do in Montrose, there's a bunch of old bats running around the roads up there, but they're not really bats. So anyway, got to take another break. Be right back.
Programming produced by and for the Internet Broadcasting Network can be found on TuneIn. Be sure to take us with you by using the TuneIn app on all your mobile devices. This is the IB Network.
This week, my name is Harley Mitchell. Next week, I'm not sure yet. Maybe I'll use your name. You see, I'm a cyber criminal, and I steal information that defines who you are. Things like your driver's license number, your birth date, your home address, your office address, your social security number, your medical information, insurance cards, business licenses, and if I can get it, your birth certificate. If I can get one, I can get the rest. It's not personal. It's just business. Once I have your information, I bundle it with others and I sell it. Not just once, but over and over and over and over and over.
Due to recent massive data breaches, your personal information is now available for cyber criminals like Harley to buy and sell to their underworld counterparts for profit. Bad people with bad intentions hiding behind your identity. Don't be fooled and lock down your financial life. Use the professionals that Fortune 500 companies use, ID Shield and Legal Shield. It costs less and reaches further. Don't lock down your life. Call Andrea Wacker and get the right protection for the right problem. Andrea Wacker is your Lady of Justice. Call now at 719-243-3174. That's 719-243-3174.
Hi, Dave Alley here for the Adventure Alley Show. So I just wanted to put the finishing touches on that bat story for my two grandsons, Henrik and Olin, over in Colorado Springs. I know they love scary stuff. They love to scare their gramps. But anyway, I never had a chance to talk about the vampire bats because there are vampire bats, but everybody has a real bad idea of what they might do or what they look like, or they may attack people. Well, first of all, we don't have any vampire kind of bats in the United States, so that's good. The vampire bats really most are down in South America, and some around in Asia as well. But they get their food, and they suck blood from the cattle, horses, and wild animals like deer and so forth. But they don't really attack humans at all, unless they have some sort of a disease. Now, like I was talking about, the rabies, they do occur, and that's just kind of a natural phenomenon in any species, just whether it be bats or whatever. But the disease, the rabies disease, is really found more in skunks and foxes than in bats. And like I said, the only reason a bat would get a rabies is if maybe a rabid skunk or a rabid fox would run into where they were sleeping or hiding and dying, and they would get it from that. But anyway, that's very interesting, and I have a new respect for bats now. I truly do, and I've never killed a bat, never will, but I've sure seen a bunch of them, and I have a good respect for them now. I truly do. And this is, by the way, everybody should give them respect, because this is their month. This is Bat Month, which is the month of April is Appreciate a Bat Month, and you could even appreciate Batman if you'd like. I don't know. The old Batman series back in the '60s with Adam West and I don't remember who that little joker was that played Robin. But those shows were so corny. But all in all, they are on reruns now on some network. I don't know. I've actually watched a couple of them over the last few months, and actually they're still pretty entertaining. They're corny, but that's how they're supposed to be. Absolutely. So there you go. We've spent enough about bats. I want to talk a little bit about real quick. The water levels here in Colorado, as far as the rafters are concerned, it's in critical condition. They're saying now that the river levels will only be up to like 66% of the overall regular flow rates of all these tributaries. And I'm talking about not only the Colorado River, but I'm talking about the Arkansas River, and I'm talking about the Gunnison River, and all these rivers that are really standard rafting tributaries or confluences in the state are going to be at 66% of the overall levels that they normally are this time of year throughout the year, and they're supposed to drop even dramatically as the summer goes along. So I'm hoping that these rafters will at least have an opportunity for at least a month or so to get out and really get the rafters, give them a chance to get out in the rivers and raft, because it's amazing how much these rafting companies contribute to the economy. And not only the state of Colorado, but also the overall economy of some other states like Utah and Arkansas. Arkansas. Not Arkansas. Arizona. What else starts with an A? Alabama with a banjo on your knee. No, not that one. But there's a few other ones. I think Idaho maybe, in Montana. I don't know. But there's a few other ones that do have, but they don't expect much. So if you guys are going to have got rafting on your summer vacation plans, do it early, because if you don't, you may be literally watching nothing, watching the trickle of water go down the creek. So anyway, there you go. Speaking of water, let's talk about cruising for a little bit here. This is typically not, I guess it's the great outdoors. I guess it is. I never really thought that it would be. But, I've got a lot of friends that do a lot of cruising. Now, personally, I've never been on a cruise. I'm not sure that I would like to go on a cruise. And I'm not saying that I would definitely just absolutely refuse if somebody offered me a free trip. But there's a few things that kind of get me concerned about cruising. One, not cursing, but cruising. I don't have any problem cursing. That's my wife she's always getting onto me. Can't you go a day without cursing? Well, I don't know. I guess I probably could, but I could go a lifetime without cruising. But maybe not if it's a free trip and somewhere where like that, go down to I don't know, the Bahamas or something. I probably would maybe take a quick look. But I've got a lot of friends that have done a lot of cruising, and they either love it or they've learned to hate it. And by that, I mean sometimes the trips turn out great for them. Sometimes they don't turn out so great. And there's a couple of facts here that I like to throw on both sides, the good, the bad, the ugly of cruising. One thing about cruising that really makes people they're unaware of some of the things that happen. You look at a picture of the brochure of cruising, and you've got beautiful water, and you've got swimming pools, and you got movie stars, and you got all kinds of stuff, and you got buffet tables, and they're throwing the dice down the crap table, and everything looks beautiful, and everybody's having fun. They got a big old umbrella drink in their hand. But they don't tell you some of the ugly stuff about cruising. First of all, when you get on the boat, sometimes you have to wait as long as 5 hours in a line to get on the boat, and that's because there are so many people on these cruises anymore. These boats are so big that they can't check everybody in. Like a hotel. Even if you go to the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, sometimes you have to wait for 15, 20 minutes to get your room. But sometimes 4 to 5 hours. Seriously, they don't even have a portable bar set up where you can wet your whistle. So I don't know. So you got to wait in a lot of lines. That may be even for waiting to get on the boat or waiting to get off the boat. And then of course there's the activities that they have. They show people around the pools and this and that. But typically those pools are so packed and so congested that you can't either get in to get your big toe wet. So that's kind of an untold ugliness. Then sometimes there's bad food. And then sometimes they don't have the food for people that have allergies. Like my family, if they wanted to go on a cruise, they couldn't do it because, well, they probably could, but but I had a friend that his wife had an allergy to food, and he put that special request in. They didn't care. They fed her the same old stuff, and she got sick. So that's definitely a not so good a thing for cruises. And then one of the worst things too is you're on this boat, you're having a good time, and you're ordering drinks left and right. First thing you know, when you get off the boat, after you wait in line 3 hours, you get a bar bill that as long as your arm, like some felons that are in the Congress now that have a rap sheet as long as their arm. Your bar tab is as long as that, and that's never good, especially when you get whacked that, if I'm on a boat for 5 days and my bar bill is $1,100, what did I drink? Well, anyway, that could be ugly too. Now, there are some good things about cruising. One of them is if you went down to Bahamas right now, you'd be in beautiful weather, and the scenery is gorgeous, and the water is clear, and the water is clean, and you'd see some dolphins, and you would see some hoolie girls, and you would have probably a great time at night. And the weather's always good. You don't have to wear nothing but a bathing suit. Actually, when you go on a cruise like that, sometimes they say the only thing you need to take is your bathing suit and a toothbrush. Of course, toothpaste as well. But those are the only things you have to take. Anyway, the weather's always good. Typically, it's always good. And then, off the boat activities. I mean, I've heard some of the people that I know that have gone on these cruises, they say that's what they look forward to, is to go on these excursions off of the boat to different islands, to different places of ports of call that they can get off and see a little bit of the culture of wherever they're going to go. Plus just kind of get off the boat and relax a little bit in a different atmosphere. And like I said, the food's bad. Sometimes the food is really good. I've heard a couple of friends of mine that went to on a trip to Hawaii. It was like a 7 or 8 day trip. They said the food on that cruise was absolutely fabulous. They ate like pigs and kings, and they gained about 25 pounds. But you got to do everything in moderation. That's what my thought is. But anyway, the food is good, so that could be a plus as well. And then plus you get to meet some new people. I mean, where else can you be with 2,000 people in a small little boat? Well, actually, it's a big boat. But it's like it's not as big as an aircraft carrier, but it's 2 or 3 football fields long. You're going to have to meet people, whether you like people. But by the way, if you don't like people, do not go on a cruise, because you're going to be around a lot of people, and people are going to want to talk to you. They're going to want to see where you're from, what do you do, what do you like, what you're drinking. So anyway, there you go. So there's some goods and there's some bads about cruising, but again, would I go? I don't know. I'm afraid that if I went on a cruise, I'd probably get stuck in one of those rooms, like in the middle of the boat with no windows, in a small little room where your bathroom is like your bathroom and your toilet, or your shower and your toilet are the same thing. I'm claustrophobic. I just don't think there's just any way that I could do that. But I've done a lot of stuff. Maybe if I gutted it up and took one for the team, I probably could do it, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, that's interesting to say it. Well, enough about cruising. If you're going to go on a cruise, there's plenty of boats. There's they're actually building more boats, so keep that in mind as well. So it looks like I'm going to take one more thing here about the Naked Gardening Month is the month of May. So, gosh, I don't know why I keep bringing that up. I can't wait for May to be over, so I don't have to have that on here. I'm going to talk a little bit about climate change. But it looks like I'm just about out of time for this week, so maybe I'll bring that over because that's going to be a really long, I think, a segment in this particular deal. What I didn't get to, let me see. I didn't talk about gold in their hills. That's really, I got some good stuff about gold mining, and there's still places that you could go and do some placer mining. So I'm going to talk about that next week. Again, we came and gone with Earth Day this month and this week. So please be kind to the earth. Please try to recycle. Please conserve as much as you can, and treat Mother Earth like you would treat your own mother. I mean, you just do that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe people don't treat their mothers good anymore. I guess I don't know. I think they would. I'm here they do. But anyway. Treat them right. Snakes. I've got to talk about this snake thing before I go. This I got this on my Facebook page a couple of days ago, and I'm going to tell you what's true, what's not true about this. But anyway, the article said world's largest snake, anaconda, found in Africa's Amazon River. It has killed and ate 257 humans, 2,325 animals, and was 134 feet long and weighed 267 kilos. And I don't know how much that is, but that's a bunch. And it said it took the Royal Commando Navy 37 days to kill this snake. Well, there you go. And I had a picture of it, and the people were kind of standing around it, and it looked pretty ominous, and it certainly was big, and it would scare the living snot out of me, even the picture did. But anyway, after I started reading this over and over again, I thought to myself, wait a minute. First of all, the Amazon River is not in Africa, it's in South America. And second of all, it wouldn't have taken the British commandos 37 days to kill a snake, because they would have brought over some sort of a F-18 and shot that snake to death in probably one bomb. And how in the world did these people know that this snake ate 257 humans? I mean, how did they follow the snake slithering around? But anyway, it was a good story. It was a good picture. When I first saw it, I kind of put the fear of the snakes back in my soul again. But it's not a true story. So it's again what you call from our President Donald Trump, this is fake news, and this truly was a fake story. So anyway, that's about all the time I've got, my friends. Wish I had more, but I truly don't. I hope that you enjoyed it. Hope I wasn't get too wound up. And I've got to probably go home and take some blood pressure pills just to get through the night. But I had a great story about a benefit run that they had, some strippers in Las Vegas to benefit the northwestern forest woodpeckers. We'll talk about that next time as well. But anyway, this is your friend David Alley, and for the IB Network, my studio engineer Tim Wacker, my equipment engineer Carson Breeze, my IT engineer Blake Olson. This is David Alley saying, you only live once, so get out in the great outdoors and enjoy yourself. been an against the grain production. This is the IB Network.